Óðsmál concepts, physics, Theosophy, Heathen Pagan, Ásatrúar, science of consciousness, purpose of life. We rediscover the understanding of concepts in our age-old Heathenry, or forefathers' science of life. Óðsmál research project on forni siður, our ancient tradition, its profundity and true core and essence. What got lost? We know a lot about how our culture was destroyed, why and when it was suffocated, but what got lost? Do we know? Óðsmál tells something fresh and profound on our very old and truly spiritual treasure. Heathenry, our profound ancient cultural heritage, is rediscovered. Pure Theosophy and Heathenry, amazing physics of the olden guys, and science of life, science of consciousness they knew. This talk will be a gandraith on Theosophy, physics, etymology, and how to take a nice break from the tiring duality of the created world. Fear is in the duality. Duality is a worldly phenomenon. Nístra guni above, be without the three guna. Nirvartasam, thou shalt nisa niður, transcend. Cover page of their spiegel. There is plentiful of theories on how, why, when the understanding of the olden ways got lost in Europe during the dark ages of deliberate lies and perpetual misunderstandings, along with mass killing and burning. Dark ages rob theosophical concepts of their profundity. Hollow words only remain, and crude men ridicule. But I shall try to tell here what has gotten lost. The pure Theosophy, science of life, science of consciousness, physics, understanding of purpose of human lifespans, and common sense. All can be found, rediscovered, as it has been veiled in the allegory, the symbolic language, sleeping for 1,000 years as a sleeping beauty. Óðsmál digs up the original meaning by etymology. What do names and concepts mean? Where do they come from? T-shirt for tourists. Icelandic-speaking men understand meaning of all names and terms and epithets, and we count for multiple meanings. We encounter layer after layer in names and concepts. Names are not mere meaningless labels at all. They tell a story. We remember that Loki and Logi compete in fast eating. When we understand Logi, we are amused. Logi means a flame of fire. Of course it consumes that wooden plate trog along with the food. Logi is a proper boy's name in Icelandic. Ellikerling is in Icelandic an epithet for old age. We know whom Thor is fighting. No human beats her. And delightful how an otherwise bad myth ends when we become really angry. The whole scene disappears. Was an illusion. There is nothing. Understanding of profundity is mostly due to the purity or ignorance of the thinker. One of the things Óðsmál rediscovers for us is how to lay the bridge Bifrost, layer by layer, our bridge that leads to Valhall for us men fully alive. Pronouns Bifrost, not Bifrost, please. Bif is flickering or the colorful. Rust is a span, extent, or a certain dimension, and rust has other meanings in Icelandic too. Most of the myths are assumed to be orally conveyed through the ages. And note that Icelanders are a mixture of Norse Vikings and some Gaelic-speaking red-haired furies. Icelandic differs from the Scandinavian languages because of the bunch of Gaelic words in Icelandic, and there are Irish myths, of course, too. And by the way, do not confuse on one hand the Eddas, poems and myths, our spiritual heritage, Überlieferung, and on the other hand the Icelandic sagas, Íslendingasögurnar, classified as literature. Icelanders are terribly egocentric. Even the sheep in Iceland says me, I, not meh. Just think of Irish temperament, these redheads mixed with robust Vikings. And Iceland, the land of ice and fire, eruptions, earthquakes, harsh highlands, glaciers, mighty glacial rivers, beautiful uncouth highlands, wild gales, shooter of seas all around. And on top of this already dangerous combination, the Islander syndrome, which some of you might know only too well. Bound to be an interesting, disastrous mixture. Islanders always are the navel of the universe. What has gotten lost is the understanding of the pure Theosophy contained in our priceless cultural heritage. One is this hanging in the nothingness, on some meiður, the poem Hávamál, hékk á vingameiði. It is not a man, literally, hanging in a tree at all. It's a man transcending the sphere of thought, time and space. The number 9 indicates timelessness. 9 nights means no time, or time is not here and now. 9 is our mystical number. 9 nætur, 9 nights, navaratri. The first 3 states on this picture are the 3 states we know: thinking, deep sleep, REM, that is rapid eye movement, dream sleep. And then we see the fourth state of consciousness, of which we might have heard but never understood. That is transcendence, the true core of theosophy and philosophy, to know oneself, gnothise auton. Odin given to Odin, I given to myself, Óðsmál. In 1945 to 1947, I read articles written by the foreman of the Theosophical Society on the pure theosophy contained in Heathenry. By some, this was considered disgusting in those times. But I was lucky to have chosen as my families those of utter disagreement. There were churchians, religious sectarians, theosophists, atheists, communists, capitalists, some utterly immune to politics. This is a good background for kids to have. My beloved ones all amusingly different, but debated not on views. So I embraced these articles on our forni siður Heathenry. The only trouble was that I did not understand the term theosophy. Heretofore, I only knew the thinking level. Thinking about God was called andakt, German, and it was denken. But I thought andakt to be and-act, admire the spirit, to find divinity up there somewhere, which I tried over and over again, but in vain. Intense emotions and intense thoughts brought no success. That andakt seemed useless. I gave up. It was only andakt, striving to think oneself up to the sky. I knew not that I should look for my innermost self inside me, the unbounded ocean of pure consciousness, Ægir. All education in schools, homes, church was on the thinking level. How could I hit upon anything else? We have a sarcastic joke in Icelandic, as a road sign is called a priest. Indicates the way but never goes himself. Here, mjói vegurinn, the narrow road. In 1963 I heard about pure theosophy and how to transcend. A lecture given by an enlightened man, a Maharishi, who also is a physicist. The only thing I understood was that I understood not. I admitted that I had no educational background for more than thinking, and to understand on the thinking level what was that fourth state of consciousness of which he spoke. Here comes one of the vital points in vor forni siður, our ancient tradition, of what is lost. We simply should learn how to nýsa niður, perform a valkyria, which is the act of transcending. This is forn, a sacrifice, and what do we forna, sacrifice? Forn is to bring something to the feast at æs, Icelandic verb færa, to bring. Now, what should I bring? Tvatja mastu govinda, tipjam heva samarpa je. Thou art the forn, the sacrifice, govinda, nothing else. I am the gift, the forn, fully alive, of course. We are the gift we bring to the feast at æs, on the transcendence to the abyss. Individual consciousness expands to gladheimar of consciousness. Glad means happy and means white. Sanskrit nista means firmly grounded in that, the abyss within. We only have to learn how to nýsa niður, effortlessly, automatically, in Óðsmál nýsta niður, past tense of the verb nýsa. As during transcendence there is no thought, only the now. So this is inevitably told of afterwards, when we fall from there again into the realm of thinking. Mind easily becomes a tiny flame pending in nothingness and automatically expands to become the huge wave of iðavellir, consciousness in motion. Become gladheimar, the widest and gladdest boundless eternity. Nothing is more natural to mind. Once we learn how to lure the mind to take a 180-degree U-turn from relative thinking into its own nature, pure bliss. Dhyana, transcending, is dhyana, a word that becomes Icelandic dá, dvína, fade away. This is the pathless path, inwards. We also have the words simi, thread, and siður, shaman luring, and höft bund, religarit, bind together, meaning the gods. This indicates connection to the innermost. Nýsa niður is how we reach ásgarður within, the sphere of the laws of nature, the flawless and all-powerful. Ultimately, there is only one, not any outer being other than the inner. Our goal will be to see this. All is this one, the unified reality of life. Sutra means a thread by which we soar together. The creative dynamism of total natural law, prakriti, is inherently contained in the transcendental silence of the unmanifest. This is our ásgarður, tívatún, ragnasjöt, sphere of gods. Ásgarður, tívatún, ragnasjöt. Now, what is ginnungagap, gap ginnunga? How emerge universes? Our was alda, long, long ago. Before the creation of our universe, there was only ginnungagap. This very visa stanza is also found in Veda. My friend Rishi Kumar Mishra translates from Sanskrit. Then neither being nor not being was, nor atmosphere, nor firmament, nor what is beyond. That one breathed windless by its own energy. Naught else existed then. Ginnungagap is here in Sanskrit Gahanam Gahapiram. Gahanam Gahapiram Ginnungagap. How nice. The unfathomable one, the depth we know not, the unfathomable gap. An Icelandic PhD astronomer I know says, the universe came out of nothing and philosophers have to explain how something can come out of nothing. Holding a degree in the field, he knows all about the universe. Leaves the riddle, which he understands not, to philosophers. Not his field of research. I do not even try to explain for him what our forefathers knew, as he might have that common scholar's linear view, while I see things in perpetual cycles. Freyja is the space-time form. In the beginning there was the profundity of Ginnungagap, or Ægir, epithet for the unfathomable ocean. Here is the space-time form bubbling, physics teachers. This is Freyja, the space-time form. Etymology of Freyja, foam, and Afros in the name Aphrodite means foam. One and one bubble breaks loose from the bubbling space-time foam to become a universe. Some are short-lived. Ours is fairly durable, lasting until Ragnarök, the big rip or the big crunch, whatever. Pralaya. Óðin Vilivie play a huge role in creation. They are knowledge, the will to know, and the known. They are Sanskrit Rishi Devata Chandas, physics Hilbert space operators states. The unmanifest manifests through its own self-referral nature. When Óðin Vilivie interact, some space becomes into being. That space gives rise to, or the possibility for, the first höfuðskepna, main created, or element, our heimdallur. Ginnungagap is fully awake within its own self-referral nature. It knows itself, and in knowing itself, it has a 3-in-1 structure. The whole creation emerges from this self-interaction. It is in the gap that we create. Prajnanam Brahman. Man's consciousness is cosmic. We create in consciousness. Do we know that the process Óðin Vilivie overshadows Ginnungagap, so that we pay attention to the curiosity process and forget Ginnungagap? Forget who we really are, pure consciousness. Also Vie overshadows Óðin and Vili. We forget as we see the manifest. We lose our memory, smriti. Our eyes see not our all-pervading Ginnungagap. This happens to be scientist Hilbert himself wearing a white-brimmed hat, correlating to Óðin siður. Hilbert space correlates to our forefathers Óðin the knowledge in the Óðin Vilivie connection. Siður, epithet of Óðin, means in Icelandic he who wears a white-brimmed hat or hood. Sanskrit siddhartha. Ginnungagap becomes consciousness when we put attention on it. No small thing, man, as we are consciousness. We create with attention. Consciousness is knowledge itself, pure knowledge. We simply transcend thought, time and space. Óðin Vilivie are the knowledge, the will to seek knowledge, and knowledge found, the physicist Maharishi tells us. Not enough to read books, memorize and understand intellectually. Knowledge is structured in consciousness. We are it, we simply go within. Ymir is the sounding one. He is sound. Some call him this equation. Some call him E equals Om. Sounding Ymir becomes the 5 sounding höfuðskepnur. Höfuðskepnur, the main created the elements. The elements being from a split-up sound inevitably are sounds. Our universe is sounds. These are the 5 vibrational modes as shown by Dr. John Hagelin, physicist. Our 5 senses register these sounds, out of which we make a world in our brain. Gungnir is all there is to it. Our universe is all Gungnir, and all is the gap. Our world, Icelandic veröld, veröld means man's lifespan, is an individual one. Our forefathers knew this. Bhumir apunalo vayu, earth, water, fire, air, kam, mano, buddhi, revacha. Space, mind, intellect also. Ahamkara ityame, to make myself as an individual, are my binna prakritirastada, divided nature into 8. Heimdallur, the first element. Heim, come, space. Dallur the bright and shiny. Avoid dictionary translations. Dallur as a big vessel is a later time concept. Here we have a drawing of Heimdallur from the book Stjarnvísi í Eddum by Björn Jónsson, the night sky view in Eddard, built on Eddapoem Grímnismál interpretation of Einar Pálsson. Björn expanded Einar's view on Grímnismál in his book named Stjarnvísi í Eddum, really worth reading. Heimdallur, Sanskrit kam, space, is the first höfuðskepna, main created element, first of the five, by far the biggest. Then emerge air, fire, water, earth in this way. Movement in space gives air, friction in air, fire, heat melts, thus water. Water can become solid, earth. Einar Pálsson sees Grímnismál Edda poem as the zodiac. The scholars in Iceland became so jealous, not wanting to admit that he was smarter than they themselves, that they refused to allow Einar to give a lecture on his many diverse findings in their territory, the University of Iceland. The scholars, haughtily, with a spitting disdain, called Einar an actor in the west end of town. What could he know about their field of research? Now, Einar is much revered for all his ideas on the Eddas and Sagas. Heimdallur, Akar, space, is the first of the höfuðskepnur elements to be created. Heimdallur has 9 mothers. Who are they? Óðsmál gives many new theories. One of them is where to find the 9 mothers of Heimdallur. Hear it for the first time. They are 10-dimensional space, whereof one is time. Space is time dimensions, one of which is time. The remaining 9 are 9 mothers to Heimdallur. You never heard this before, but Óðsmál tells. Óðsmál has lots of new theories and interpretations thou willst like to know. Maddamann með kýrhausinn, Ásaspá, Mímisspá, Járnviðja. Another bad shock shook the scholars when Helgi Hálfdánarson published his book, 1962, Maddamann með kýrhausinn, The Lady with the Head of a Cow. This book title, referring to imagined archaeological findings of pieces of clay pottery, when put together wrongly, showed the lady having a cow's head. This book is about Völuspá. Helgi found 3 ancient poems which, according to Bragarháttur, metric in poems of metrical rules, were correct. He strips Völuspá of all later time additions and pre-Christian the baptizing into a Christian poem. The 3 original poems he names Ásaspá, Mímisspá, and Járnviðja. Some scholars became so... Oh no, I better say nothing, they have done many good things for us. A world depends upon our individual purity. Worlds are as we are. We need good contact with our innermost. We need purity. We gain that in time by transcending Nisa Niður to the sphere of no thought, no space, no time. Nisa Niður is a practical technique that enables the individual to transcend. This is the supreme science and art of connecting back to the source of all life, discover the source of all life. We connect to total knowledge, omniscience and omnipresence, all-knowingness, unboundedness, being everywhere. We need to be connected to our origin, to the infinite organizing power of natural law, the unlimited existence of all possibilities, unity and diversity, unmanifest and manifest. I hope I'm not going far beyond my listeners' comprehension, but we should know what has gotten lost. I feel like the efficient new housemaid who did the dishes before meal and made the beds before anyone woke up. She was irritating, but was not fired for one reason or another. Well, she tried to do her very best. Þorgeir, ljósvetningagoði, Sveinbjörn Beinteinsson. Heathenry has always been legal in Iceland. Þorgeir ljósvetningagoði saw to that when we were baptized in 999 Roman Anno Domini. Here is the story of that baptizing, and the story when Sveinbjörn was dealing with the Minister of Justice affair 1,000 years later. Ásatrúar became impatient and used his lightnings to further the case of registering the Association of Ásatrúar men. History teaches Icelanders embraced Christianity in year Roman Anno Domini 999, no bloodshed, which was unique as we know. But there is an omitted reason for that euphemism, embraced. The king had invited sons of prominent men in Iceland to visit his halls. The message from the king was, if you want to see your sons again, have all Icelanders baptized. We hate cold baths, so we had the bath in some geothermal water. Þorgeir ljósvetningagoði made a deal with the king's men. We can go on with our blood. And the king returned the sons. So blood has always been legal in Iceland in spite of that 999 bath. 1,000 years later, Sveinbjörn Beinteinsson tried in vain for years to have his Ásatrúar association recognized. The Minister of Justice Affairs persistently refused. Heathenry never was illegal in Iceland, only the church had stolen many names of Icelanders and could not think of losing them, as registered adherents mean official money for the church. In the end, Sveinbjörn, this modest and even-minded man, got a bit irritated over these perpetual refusals from the Minister of Church Affairs, closed the door to the office of that church minister unusually harshly, and walked briskly down the stairs. Then Thor, obviously irritated too, sent thunders to Reykjavik. Electricity failed in city centers. Lights went out. The church minister, rather shocked, in haste sent someone downstairs to have Sveinbjörn return to his office and granted the permission for félag Ásatrúar manna. All theocracies are the same. Theos plus kratos. God, power, or religion's dominance, conquests, withholding themselves. All theosophies are the same. Theos plus sophia. God knowledge, God wisdom. Traditions to aid man on his evolutionary path. So theocracy and theosophy are not the same thing at all. Heathenry is, by the University of Iceland, not classified as a religion, as for theology professors only theocracies, their churchianity, Jewish and Islam, can be termed as religions. So they classify heathenry, pure theosophy, as folk belief, þjóðtrú. Þjóðtrú sounds very much like superstition of the uneducated credulous mob. I also heard one man holding an official post in Reykjavik term heathenry as hobby, whereas the church was to him an all-holy business. 1,000 years of imprinting really works. T-shirt, good for tourists in Iceland. At the settlement of Iceland, 800 plus something, the majority was most likely heathens. The Irish settlers not Christians at all. They could just as well have been fleeing churchianity, which was the new name of the Roman Empire and its all-devouring conquests. Some Christian scholars desperately want the first settlers to have been Christians, so some claim monks to have settled here first, but this is unattested. Then a joke. The tale of active monks was invented, meaning that they had progeny. But who would have brought their bairns up in Christianity? Their mothers? The monks themselves? The supposed monks are called papar, said to have lived in Papay, Papa Island, but Papa is a known name for landscape looking as a lying woman's breasts. The cross is heathen. Whenever crosses are found, some jump to the conclusion, Christians, Christians. This particular cross on the picture is marks for solstice, purely heathen. We know crosses to be older than the Roman Empire, now called church. There are cycles in nature here. We should not blindly trust bigoted commentators. Crosses indicate cycles. Sons of Odin, Baldur, Höður, Váli, Viðar, have multiple layers. Nature's seasons, day and night, death and resurrection of our sun god Baldur, our transcending the world of thought and returning to thought. These perpetual cycles in heathenry, big and small, all pertaining to life on earth. Váli is son of Rindur, who correlates to Varuna and Uranus. Váli, the hawk of morning, so by motherhood originates in the waters, comes out of the abyss. Viðar is about to expand to infinity. Við, which are warrior. Surtsey, under ocean eruption in Iceland. Surtur is the devastating fire at Ragnarök. Please note, as this is how myths get distorted, some journalist carelessly invented a god of fire here out of Surtur. Never fully trust commentators or journalists. We do not have any god of fire. In Iceland we have layers of ashes from known eruptions called tefra. Tephrochronology, dating from tefra. We can see this known ash layers beautifully exhibited in the National Museum, Þjóðminjasafn, in Reykjavik. Archaeology is really doing a good job dating built on ash layers in the soil. This is Pallas Athena. Homer deliberately changed a lot in his famous writings, as he admired the war gods and war goddesses, but found fertility deities not interesting at all. Mars of the Etruscans is a peaceful agricultural deity. Mars of the Romans, a war god. Our correlating Tyr is divine law and fearless righteousness. We tend to change our deities to our likings, needs of times, and strategical purposes. Who knows the omitted original now? Fenrir is our heedlessness, which grows frighteningly if we have not the courage to stop Fenrir's growth. We stupid creatures do not care what the truth is. We are comfortable with man-made circumstances in all matters. Fear corresponds to amygdala in our brain. See Dr. Tony Nader, Cosmic Counterparts. We should keep our amygdala in balance. Aðra beinagrindina vantaði. Note how we tend to see things from our current perspective. Archaeological findings in Iceland some time ago were revealed to the public as a haugur, ancient heathen burial place, was found, that of a man and a woman. The man's weapons and the woman's jewelry. One of the skeletons was missing, that of the woman. Because of that jewelry, it was assumed that there had been a woman. How could we otherwise explain the jewelry? Gretla, Grettisaga, Hrafnkatla, Hrafnkelssaga Freyskoða, Egla, Egilsaga Skallagrímssonar, Vastæla, Saga Vastælinga, Vastælingar, those living in Vastalur, etc., also Laxdæla, Eyrbyggja, and others. Icelandic sagas tend to have nicknames, Gretla, Hrafnkatla, Egla, Vastæla, but unluckily a water pump is Vastæla, vatnsdæla in Icelandic. I got a message to bring Vastæla, to my niece, who had borrowed a remote cottage in the countryside. There was no phone, but she managed to have someone bring the message. The water pump was broken. She had to fetch all water in a bucket to a nearby brook, really doing hard work and scrubbing the shabby hut. I wrongly assumed her leisure and lazy enjoyment of beautiful landscape. I brought the Saga Vastæla. Kunni maður mjöt. Óðsmál asks us to take no more than needed from nature. Kunni maður mjöt. I wish we had lived by that advice. They invented that Vatican as a new name for the Roman Empire, and they told us to be Lord of the Earth, subdue and use at will. If we are the Lord of the Earth, then our responsibility is great, as we should revere all life and preserve our birthplace. Auðumbla is the life-giving cow. Life simply is. Life is our birthright, and the birthright of all creatures who, like we, are on their evolutionary path. Please revere all life. Do not let greed overshadow our love for life. We should heighten our state of consciousness. Nirvartatvam, transcend. Individual consciousness expands to infinity, gladheimar, glad, white, width. Then we start seeing, comprehend the coexistence of both unity and diversity. Óðsmál tells us some things we do not see, such as our vicious cycle of action. We are not taught that we live in the vicious cycle of actions. We perform an action, not knowing that there remain seeds of memory of it in our heart. Shooting roots, they inspire a new idea that's not as fresh and original as we might think. By the hidden seeds, we are propelled to act again. We see not this vicious cycle cannot get out, and that's why it is a vicious cycle. Some actions are not so good at all, but being actions, they leave their hidden seeds in our heart. These seeds become the basic idea of our new idea, thus not so fresh at all. This is bound to become a disastrous life of ups and downs. We rejoice in success and get depressed or angry over failures. During dark ages we know no way out, but during bright ages we learn about how to evoke our god Ullur. Ullur is fire, his name from Sanskrit ul. He burns up ignorance and the seeds of memory of actions. We evoke him by nýsa niður, transcend. We now stop performing under the power of seeds of past actions. We now only work for Mother Nature. Picture of her, the green one, there on left. The seeds have been roasted, and we take no pride in our actions. They are natural. We live no more in the animal state of Gemisgarðar or Paradisus. We are men who now see that we did not see. A bit embarrassing to begin with, but should be appreciated. For Gemisgarðar refer to Edda poem Skírnismál and Gerður as we men, still living in ignorance, enjoying only worldly stuff. Huginn and Munin, the names of course having a meaning in Icelandic, understood by all Icelandic speaking, yet might be derived from Sanskrit Yogin and Bumi, which is less obvious to Icelanders, as even some scholars in the field of Icelandic language studies claim Icelandic and Sanskrit to be utterly unrelated. An Icelandic language scholar, a woman, claimed, quote, as unrelated languages as Icelandic and Sanskrit, end quote. Yet some scholars know by etymology many Icelandic words and names to be derived from Sanskrit, or the severe etymology by Ásgeir Blöndal Magnússon. Especially in Norse mythology we have many names and terms derived from Sanskrit. See Christian Andreas Holmboe, the Dane, for all these delightful correlations. Siður, epithet of Odin, means the one wearing a hood or a hat with long sloping brims, but the Sanskrit meaning is he who has perfection as a goal. Also gangleri, epithet of Odin, the one roaming and walking, is from Sanskrit ganga lahari, a wave of wisdom from the holy waters. Huginn and Munin live in the halls of Odin, but tend to fly free all over the place. There is an ancient story in Harda about the siblings who cried a lot, "Krip, krip, krip." The king passing by felt sorry for them and brought them up in his halls. They were wise men where they grew up. There are also some striking similarities in the Icelandic Hrafnagaldur Óðins, the poem Odin's Raven Spell, and in the Bhagavad Gita part of Mahabharata. This is when Arjuna drops his bow, Gandiva, unable to speak, overwhelmed with the dilemma of living in a world where there are only dualities, which Krishna teaches him to transcend. Krishna brings in the third element, teaches Arjuna to live the sphere of life where dualities are not. And now listen to Hrafnagaldur's poem, Raven Spell. Dofna þá dáðir, merit fails and fades. Detta hendur, my arms fall limp. Svífur og svimi sverð ás hvíta, sword of the white house suffers giddiness. And note that Arjuna means silver white. Here in Hrafnagaldur we have white house. Wherever from the author of Hrafnagaldur got this idea, I see striking similarities. Ancient from Bharata, Óðsmál cease to correlate. It's important to understand that personifications and animations are a trap. Statues and pictures rob us of the inner meaning. Heathens were said to believe in logs and rocks, trúa á stokka og steina, but that worldly stuff is only a cue to the innermost. We believe not in skúrgoð. Skúrgoð means carved wooden gods. We believe not in statues. Belief actually is a very dangerous thing. Belief easily becomes sheer stagnated stubbornness. This is kvasism. We gain the meat of wisdom, madhu, meat, honey meat, a hunang, mjöður. Where and how do we gain that meat of wisdom? No problem, we use wormholes. We become bölverkur, Odin as the splitter, who perforates the one who uses wormholes. This is Odin bölverkur, as an eagle, too heavy to fly, when he has imbibed all the mjöður, meat of wisdom, in Hnitbjörg of Gunnlöð. And this is what we do all the time when we have learned to nísa niður to gain the pure wisdom inside. The name bölverkur has a Sanskrit bit as a word stem, which means to pierce, split asunder, make holes or make pores. Pinna, Sanskrit, stem bit, to split. Our bodies are not solid at all. It's easy for our all-pervading mind to sneak out of it and naturally seek our innermost. Ancient small Danish silver worm. So Odin uses wormholes to transcend, to gain the mjöður, meat of wisdom. Madhu, honey, meat, mjöður. Odin takes on the guise of a worm, bregðst í ormslíki, ormslíki. That comes easy to us. We need not break into our own house. We have a key. We do not need a key, not locked. Odin given to Odin, I given to myself, always welcome home. Here we have Gunnlöð Suttungsdóttir, the thirst maiden in her cliff cave Hnitbjörg, where she keeps the mjöður, meat of wisdom, supposed to guard it but gives it away freely. Löð means hospitality, verb laða, to lure, attract. Kvasir is a sound. Everything is sounding. The blood of Kvasir is sounding. It is good to understand names. Meat of wisdom is a sound. Gungnir is sound waves. Gungnir, the weapon of our beloved and mighty god Odin, is sound waves. Did you realize that? That's all there is. Schoolbook version of Odin and Gunnlöð, as pictured by prominent scholars on the Eddas. Part of the disdain and derogatory belittling that lousy imprinting in our schools when I was a kid. Personifications are a trap for scholars, as they are for the layman and school kids. Literalism is illiteracy on allegory and symbolic language. Belief in the letter is a blinding trap, but that's what we are brought up in. We have gotten so many things upside down, brainwashed by stupid imprinting from churchians and scholars, so we do not know what is what anymore. They have mocked and ridiculed every our poem and every heathen term, and shoveled disdain on it. The National Theatre of Iceland put on stage Skírnismál, the Edda poem, as a porno piece, all about pennies and fucking indications. This only indicates the low state of consciousness that the author and theatre director lives. Yet his father was one of the most prominent scholars on Edda poems. What did he teach his son? We have so much to correct, to teach, to learn, to understand. Skírnismál is purely a spiritual poem, all about our spiritual evolution and how to find the divine inside. In Skírnismál, the purely spiritual poem, Skírnir tells us what rímþursar are. They are stagnation on our evolutionary path towards perfection. Gerður, the thirst maiden, has to see that life is not for living exclusively in our stuff, as Gerður heretofore has enjoyed. We are Gerður in Skírnismál. Our 5 senses are made for registering stuff, but we should not think that the only purpose of life is to chase stuff. He who has the most of stuff in the garage when he dies, he wins. Gunnlöð is the act of luring the conscious mind towards the supreme silence within. Within, in that mythological or symbolic cliff within. Hnitbjörg. Gunnur can mean a battle, or Gunn, the godly, the guð Gunn phonetics. The verb lava to lure, attract, and we use wormholes, says the myth, which Rati, the rat, the drill, gnaws for us. Rati drills some wormholes for Bölverkur, Odin, through which he, í ormslíki, in the guise of a worm, can glide into the innermost. We only have to learn the easy natural technique to nísa niður. I recommend TM as it works immediately and ever after. No pushing whatsoever. That only spoils the smooth natural gliding inwards, home to the origin of all. The goal is to transcend our thought. We do a little bit of letting the mind float, then leave it alone in the hang. This is called by the olden guys, our forefathers, to hang in the mythical tree as the middle post, meiður. Then the mind, by its own nature alone, knows, recognizes what it has been seeking all the time. Mind always seeks ever more happiness. Nature of inner being is bliss. Nísir niður, spies or peeps down to the supreme bliss. Mind seeks pure bliss. Mind is only going home to pure bliss. This is simply returning home. We are this field of infinite correlation, perfect balance. It is fully awake within itself, is our very self. In time, we comprehend the coexistence of both unity and diversity. In time, we experience unity in the outer field of active life, as well as on the transcendental level. Pratyavayona vidyate. There are no obstacles whatsoever, nothing to overcome, nothing to fight, nor anything to strive for. Transcending is the easiest and most natural act, if you only learn the technique correctly. Never strive, never manipulate, only listen to the mantra given by the learned teacher. I read the Edda poems in school when I was a teenager. Then we had only the literalist belief in the letter, as taught by the Roman creed of theocracy, where they used death a lot to frighten them up. We should know that death exists not. Önd skal lifa og aldrei tínast. Soul lives and never dies. We are man trees on the beach. Óður hænir lóður bring gifts of humanhood, but our roots are in the abyss of waters, ægir. Our Valkyria sits here by our cradle. Valkyria is born along with man. Only we men, mankind, have the human nervous system that enables us to transcend. Note, be careful that men in Icelandic means men and women. So when you read an olden text Norsemen or northern men, that refers to men and women not excluded, as some have mistaken it for. Men used to mean in English men and women, almost lost now. These man trees on the beach are not 2 guys, but rather we see here all guys and dolls, which Óður hænir lóður inspired to become humans. We man trees have roots just like Askur Yggdrasils. The roots are where no man knows. Mangi veit hvers af rótum renn. Here are Askur and Embla. They are all of us. Líf and lífþrasir are not just 2 individuals who survive Ragnarök, Sig, Tiva, but we all of us who are reborn. Soul never dies and is never born. Soul never suffers. We decide to be born in a body on earth again and again for our spiritual evolution towards perfection. Helja and Ragnarök are no dead ends at all. Death exists not. There is only that perpetual change in the relative part of life. And why would we go into that trouble of being born in the first place? The goal is to reach Valhall, fully alive, live as an Heathenry, an enlightened man, and perform good deeds for us all. Only during our lifespans can we evolve on our spiritual path towards perfection. And why would Óðsmál say that Valhalla is not that Roman heaven for the dead at all? Because Óðsmál corrects all imprinted fraud. Churchian commentators jump to conclusions, as they only see Churchian heaven for the dead, that Roman Churchian heaven for the dead is a later time invention. Valhalla is not any dead man's dwelling place. Valur can mean a hawk. Valur can refer to dead men on the battlefield. Val also means a choice. But the origin could as well be Sanskrit val, to return home, to go back where we belong. That is enlightenment. Val choice should be that we choose this path. Váli Rindarson, Óðins son, is the hawk of morning, the rising one. Rindur his mother is the waters, Varuna, Uranus. Óðin his father, consciousness. Our goal and purpose is reaching Valhalla. Our purpose in life is to gain enlightenment. Only we do not know, as we are not told, not taught, what human life is for. Valhalla is the life of living Einherjar, enlightened men. Every living man's purpose and goal. The trouble is that we know not what life is for. But we do hear of Valhalla all the time in bedtime stories, such as Cinderella, who reaches the palace, Sleeping Beauty, who sleeps in the palace, Snow White, who has some palace troubles, and even the Beauty and the Beast, La Belle et la Bête, live happily in the palace ever after. We do not realize that bedtime stories are God's spells, but this is how myths live through the dark ages of ignorance, told over and over again to all our little bairns. There are many reasons for seeing Valhalla for living men, not any dead ones. We heathens are not death-oriented, as are these imported theocracies. For us, death exists not, only change in the relative, nothing ever dies. Jódahinn is a warrior and a victor. We have reference to Æsir as men having been enlightened or highly evolved spiritually. Arya means the excellent, becomes Icelandic Jarl, and Einherji. See work of the Dane Christian Andres Holmboe for Sanskrit Old Norse correlations. The excellent ones are the enlightened ones. Enlightened do not fight with weapons. Spears are used for supporting the roof. Armor shattered on benches, spjót í að refta þak, brynjum á bekkistráð. The power of the enlightened ones is in consciousness. As they are enlightened men, they work exclusively in pure consciousness. Please refer to the Maharishi effect, where scientifically the effect of group transcending has been measured on the surroundings for peace and prosperity. Einherjar, enlightened men, work exclusively in pure consciousness as they have skill in action, fimbulrúnir. For example, the good galdur to have the power to render blunt the weapons of any enemies. Háamál, eggjar deyfi minna andskota, býtat þeim vopn ég velir. No spear flies so fast that I cannot stop it. Fljúi fleit nei svo stint að ekki stöðva egg, að ekki stöðvi egg. Comes in really handy to have superpowers like this. Peace prevailed wherever Æsir passed over lands, and they were considered to be godlike. Fylgði þeim friður hvar þeir fórum lönd og þóttu þeir goðum líkir. Peace prevailed is exactly the Maharishi effect. Wherever hatred grows among the sons of kings, that I can quickly soothe. Hvar hatur vex með hildingssonum, það má ég bæta brátt. Did our forefathers know where peace is? Peace is within man. We have easy access to it. Did our forefathers know the Hanurved, how to prevent the birth of an enemy? By the Hanurved, we can destroy the enmity in our enemy. This is done in consciousness, not on the battlefield. And Danu, bogi, a bow. They knew how to still the rough seas, stilla úvið haf. Note, fimbulrúnir, are not the same as our written runes. Fimbulrúnir are another thing. Fimbulrúnir are skill in action, how to act in Miðgarður from our pure consciousness, the sphere of God's, Ásgarður insight. Fimbulrúnir are karma subkaushalam, skill in action, derived from transcending, according to Háamál, rúnatal. We pull back the arrow to gain momentum. We transcend to gain access to the almighty power within, power which we can use in life. We transcend thought, time and space and contact our pure consciousness, the easiest and most natural thing to do. Nísa niður, transcend, is the only action that does not bind man. This act liberates. This act is performing a Valkyria. Valkyria is born along with man. She is our act of Nísa niður. Valkyria is the only means we need to find the peace that awaits us in the transcendental field of life. 540 doors, out of each one come 800 einherjar, which means 432,000. This is much akin to the number of einherjar 216. We should know all about these numbers. They are very, very old and meaningful. We have more evidence of Valhall being for the living ones in the created universe. If there is andhrimnir, eldhrimnir, sæhrimnir in Valhall, then that is not for any dead men. They are for pure living men. 5 to 3 elements, learned from Dr. John Hagelin. The 5 elements occur space. Air, fire, water, earth become 3. These 3 in Valhall are and, eld, sæ, air, fire, water, meaning the 5 in creation. And, eld, sæ, vata, pitta, kappa, and, eld, sæ, air, fire, water are in the created world. Not in hell, Helja, our delightful coffee break between lifespans. Solon dies and is never born, but we take a delightful coffee break in hell between our lifespans in bodies in Midgarður. Note, hell is for the soul when not in a body on earth. In Helja we are not evolving. Valhall is for living men in pure bodies, purified physiology. To live Valhall we do not go anywhere, we do not come anywhere, we only purify ourselves. We find in time that we are and have always been this purity. Skip that threatening purgatoire invention from Rome. Be rational. Now there are no binding truth, no ignorance, no filth, no sin. God is sin who refuses all sin, sieves away all filth and ignorance, her name sin, pertaining to sin, to refusal, sinyun, and to sattva, truth, sattva. Sin has now let in the purified us ourselves into the golden-leaved forest glasses, has sieved and filtered out all sin. Now the Skadi Baldur Njörður dilemma, a troubling love triangle. Skadi is an underdís, dís from Sanskrit dish, to give, bring, show. Like ullur from Sanskrit ul, is an underás, Sanskrit advan, road, way, orbit, journey, course, distance, is the origin of under. I have not found it in other European languages. Skadi Theosophy, our skiing thus maiden, underdís, seeks Baldur, our sun god, but she is stuck with Njörður, our origin in the ocean. This is our dilemma. We seek the highest, but we are born in a body on earth. The only way to evolve spiritually is to be born in a body. We should not waste our precious lifespans on stagnation. Skip institutions and creeds. That stuff ties us to their all-worldly money business. What we should know is what we are doing here. We should know that eternal silence coexists with eternal dynamism at the basis of creation, and we shall live both spheres of life as they are one. How can we know when we are not taught? How can we know what we are doing here when we are not taught? Now we are rediscovering our forefathers' science of life. Our forefathers knew why we were born, what we are doing here, the purpose and goal. We know not. They teach us how to live a human lifespan. We listen not. Now we shall learn how we lay the bridge Bifrost, layer by layer. Bifrost leads to Valhall safely in time. Bifrost is pronounced Bifrost, not Bifrost, please. Bif can mean flickering or colored. Rust is here a span, certain length in time or space. Icelandic speaking are lucky to understand all names and terms. Gives good insight into concepts in myths and poems. We lay the bridge Bifrost layer by layer by going into Ásgarður daily. Ásgarður is where the æsir, presidents of natural law, abide. Tefla teitir í túni. How do we visit Ásgarður? By nísa niður, transcend thought. We take a trip to Ásgarður within naturally and effortlessly. And this is how we lay Bifrost layer by layer. Why would we be laying Bifrost? Where does Bifrost lead? Bifrost comes in handy for us in time to live Valhall, man's enlightenment, the goal of human lifespans. Bifrost is made of man's purity, gotten when we transcend, by which we spread out Bifrost layer for layer, as if drizzling invisible stardust. We cannot see on a man what state of consciousness he lives. Age, intelligence, money, fine degrees, ranks of society have nothing much to do with state of consciousness. Rígur in Edda poem, Rígsþula, classifies not according to finery in life, but by purity of man. We choose where to be born according to our purity. There are layers of purity and ignorance. Ásgarður is within, I given to Óðinn. There is nothing to be found up there, out there. We men living in Midgarður can be here in Ásgarður any time we choose by nísa niður, transcend thought, time and space. Vishvideva. Vishvideva is the pantheon, the polytheon, all the gods together, Ásgarður. Gods preside over the flawless laws of nature. Tefla teitir í túni. Name of one of the god is forseti. Forseti, president, in Glitnir, zodiac Capricorn. The unmanifest manifests through its own self-referral nature and maintains its status as an unmanifested absolute. The creative dynamism of total natural law, Prakriti, is inherently contained in the transcendental silence of the unmanifest. Eternal silence coexists with eternal dynamism at the basis of creation. In time we gain total knowledge, omniscience and omnipresence, all-knowingness and unboundedness, being everywhere, by regularly transcending. This is what my teacher Maharshi tells us. We should know how we can imbibe all wisdom as easily as a tree gets water and nutrition by its roots. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. We soothe down the turbulent waves by nísa niður, transcend. That is the hanging on Vingameður. The easiest of all, nísa niður, transcends thought, time and space. A tiny flame of thought expands to become the ocean, Ægir Ginnungagap, effortlessly by an easy technique, all automatic process when we know how to use the technique correctly. We are consciousness, one consciousness, all of us. But when I see thee and thou seest me, we assume that we are not one. I don't think we ever learned this in school. There is more than waking, deep sleep and dreaming states. There is the fourth, transcending the other three. And even something called yoga is in many cases practiced on the thinking level only because of our shallow education. Surface level of thinking imprinted for centuries. Now, we innocently should heighten our state of consciousness that we do by regularly transcending nísa niður to the fourth stage of consciousness, which is laying the bridge, bifröst, Byggvið and Beila. We should also understand all our little important concepts. They matter in life. For us Frey lovers, Byggvið means barley boy and Beila the dough-nutting girl. Good to understand names in each context. But Freyr wants Gerður to know that there is more to life than outer abundance. That is what Eddabóm's Óðsmál is all about. Freyr is worried if you forget the most important in man's lifespans, our inner divinity, to be found in our inner grove, Loggfara lundur barri. Our Freyr-skírnir Gerður triad is all about that we forget the most important in life. Frey's elves in Álfheimar are Rota, channels, ribuhu, in our body. Fine, subtle channels. Elf is etymologically related to Elfur, river, and to Greek river deity Alpheus. Listen, Alpheus, Álfur, elf, Elfur. And Álfur is related to Alt, a swan, Álft, Álfur, elf. In Icelandic, Álftarhamur is swan guise. Wearing a swan guise in myths means the ability to be airborne as a white swan, or yogic flying. Swans are repellent against all filth. Swan indicates purity. Valkyriur have swan guises, Álftarhami. Hamsa in Sanskrit means a swan or a goose, becomes hamur in Norse mythology. Also Freyja owns a feather guise handy for flying into unknown territories. Loki borrows hers in Þrymskviða Edda poem when looking for the stolen Mjölnir. Thor's eyes shoot lightnings when Þrymur Þurs wants to kiss his bride in Edda poem Þrymskviða. We can see the electricity in his eyes. Thor is both electricity and our inner might and main, máttur og megin. Þrymur is old evolutionary stages. He wants Freyja for a bride, but that doesn't work out. Freyja becomes furious when Loki asks her to marry Þrymur. Thursar in Þrymskviða is something we must rid ourselves of. Móði and Magni, Thor's sons, power of electricity of course, as also indicates the name Þrúður Þórsdóttir. But the Röskva and Þjálfi, Thor's servants, indicate the speed and efficiency of electricity. These names tell. Glóar and Megingjarðir, poles and circuit, still another reference to Thor's electricity. Kvarmaregn is rain, that lovely Icelandic term kvarmaregn, Something on the emotional level. That happens, lightning in our emotions. Mother Earth is our mother, and she is Thor's mother. We should love our nurturing mother as does Thor. Mother Earth has a shield, Svalin, which means the cooler. Svalin is a delicate one. Our forefathers know such things. They warn, if it falls off, land and seas will burn up. Falli hann frá, veit ek að hauður og haf munu uppbrenna. Have we listened to their warnings? No, we have not. We always think we know better and do stupid things. A second defense is our northern lights. Our goddess Sif, Thor's beloved one. Her name Sif indicates our family, our acquaintance. Her hair is food for our burns and also our spiritual gold, as that is the purpose of life, not less important for our burns than food. Thor sees to rain for the crops and also strengthens our inner power for spiritual growth. Dísir, Gná and Fulla, who serve our great goddess Frigg. Gná and Fulla, the names are from Sanskrit and also have a meaning in Icelandic. Gná, Gana, Fulla, Purna, abundance, fullness. Dís, give, bring, show. Gná rides her hófart near the horse who runs over land and seas. Frigg gives abundance on all levels of life. She is the much revered one, her name from Priya, the beloved and admired one. Prem, love and care, Frigg Preman. Frigg is also lean, meaning to whom we can lean, from Sanskrit, Shri. Frigg is also Sauga, the seeress, the omniscient, all-seeing witness to all, from Sanskrit, Dris, Pasha. Sauga in Sökkvabekkur, Karka, has roots in the mud and blossoms on the surface. Irminsul can be that lotus. I prescribe Fimbulrunur for every man, profound skill in action in life. Such powerful actions are always in accordance with our flawless laws of nature, always evolutionary. In the innermost ásgarður, only perfection is. The apples of Eden, to keep our body ever young, they are Amrit, ambrosia, kalash. The Greek gods love us when we die young. That is, when our body is ever young, however old we become in this present lifespan. Gods love our purity and longevity, biological age of the pure. This is. Eden has her apples of immortality, epli Iðunar. Bragi eats even too much of them. He loves Eden. She knows how to connect through the three roots to the unknown infinity within, where immortality abides in us. Sleipnir, our nervous system, comes in handy as a vehicle to Ásgarður, to and fro, the slippery one, as he easily glides from Miðgarður to Ásgarður. The more we do that, the better he comes at it. It is so delightful a ride to Nísa transcend the sphere of thought, space and time. Who knows if that intangible journey inwards became the witch on the broom? To be airborne, yogic flying, was considered galdur, sorcery, witchcraft. We do not want to talk too much about the conception of Sleipnir, rather humiliating for us to admit. Loki as a mare conceived by Svaðilfari the stallion. Loki as mankind is always fucking up things and then desperately trying to make up for his rash mistakes. But this particular one, Sleipnir, is really a boon. Loka, world. Triloka, the three worlds. Here we have Eldir and Fimafingur. I emphasize the importance of understanding names, as names tell a lot. Names are not mere meaningless labels. These guys, Eldir and Fimafingur, are our agile servants at Ægis when we take our daily plunge. Ægir is unbounded consciousness, one infinite and eternal existence of pure intelligence. Ægir is the transcendental infinite silence and infinite creative dynamism whose impulses create, maintain and evolve the cosmos. In the unity of Ginnungagap we have Niflheimur and Múspelsheimur, silence and dynamism, the rivaling and co-working powers also found in the created world, silence and dynamism. Rán is the orderliness in Ægir, what her name means from Sanskrit Rajana. The structure of the universe is a projection of the structure of natural law. The structure of natural law is the most fundamental structure mirrored from Ginnungagap into the universe and into us. pure intelligence and endless potential. Prajanam Brahman, man's consciousness is cosmic. Round Ragn Rein, Rajana, orderliness, perfect order. Round Ragn Rein means to make, create, put everything into order. What gods do when they play happily in the field of dynamism. Tefla í túni, teitir eru. Tvíviti, teitir. Tefla í túni, the word tune, is derived from the word dynamism. Þursa meir þrír, tríguna of nature. Uns komu, until came. The trouble begins when the three qualities of Mother Nature show up. Þursa meir þrír, tríguna, sattva, rajas, dhamma. Tríguna is Sanskrit. Meir is sons. Mögur is son, as Irish mak. Always count for the Gaelic words in Icelandic, not found in the Scandinavian languages. The daughters of Rán, Ránardætur, are in our life on the surface. The perfect orderliness mirrored in our universe is seen on the surface too. Creation is perfect, perfect orderliness wherever we look. If we live on the surface of life, we better understand that amusing kind of life has more to it, as we are the abyss of Ægir. Only our impurities prevent us from seeing this truth. The enlightened Einherji sees he lives Valhöll. Tröll are our blinding ignorance, that not to see who we are in core and essence. Tröll are not for real. They evaporate when we purify ourselves. We have mjölnir to batter our tröll, rid us of our filth, destroy our ignorance, which also is called sin. Mjölnir always returns when we wield him. Swastika, is wishing auspicious future. Swasti, swastaha, standing firmly in oneself, perfect health, which is the only normal condition for man. We are consciousness and should be grounded in ourselves. Feel good, trust in ourselves. That is self-confidence, self-reliance, due to self-esteem. Sjálfur leið þú sjálfan þig, thou thyself lead thyself. Swadharma, paradharma. We should live our own dharma. Living the lives of others brings danger for our spiritual evolution. Be careful never to trust nor use intermediaries. Avoid that stuff altogether. Might be some trap laid by power-greedy men. Thor ber tröll. Thor is our spiritual growth, our máttur og megin, might and main, to open up our goddess sun in us, our goddess of enlightenment. Að berja is to batter. Do not feed Fenrir, Fenrisúlfur, as that is a scary idea. He should not grow out of proportions. Easter is our spring deity, something very good in the north. She is an ancient deity amongst the Germanic peoples. Remember, Gungnir is vibrations. There are 5 different vibrational modes, höfuðskepnur, main created the elements. That is all there is for our 5 senses to bring to the brain, for us to make a world. A universe is vibrations in Ginnungagap, in us. Vibrational modes, bewegung, superstrings, or whatever we may call that intangible illusion of so-called matter. Remember, world Icelandic world, man's lifespan, is a very individual creation to have. Our forefathers know. Of course, no two see the world in the same way, as a world is only what each one makes out of our gunir, registered by our 5 senses. That is why the old wise ones say world is as you are. It is our private and personal and individual making. A very personal creation in our brain. Remember these 5 different vibrational modes of Gungnir, vibrations we call höfuðskepnur, main created, correlate to our 5 senses. They are the only thing senses register. Gungnir, the weapon of Óðin, is explained also on the cellular level by Dr. John Hagelin, physicist. I once asked John if he were of Icelandic origin, as his name indicates that, but disappointedly, no, his parents or grandparents came from Sweden. When I see thee, and thou seest me, we claim not to be one, but 2. Our senses do not register Ginnungagap, so we see not who we are. We are pure consciousness. We are not the created, such as these beautiful, perfect bodies we make for each lifespan on earth. Only Ginnungagap is made lively by our attention, and then referred to as vibrant consciousness. We start making our nervous system in our mother's womb. Sleipnir is responsible for our feeling of I-ness, that I am an individual, a very special one, of course. Sleipnir also is our vehicle to Ásgarður, but we far too often drop that part and enjoy our individuality exclusively. Meager education is to blame. Once we make Sleipnir, individual, all-worldly nervous system, we no longer see who we are. On this picture, we have our urður verðandi skuld, Óðinn vilji við, þursa meir þrír, the qualities of nature, and Fenrirúlfur, but I see not who I am. We start chasing stuff. Our senses chase stuff that glittering bay they register. Our views depend upon our own purity and also upon what we read, are taught in school, or have someone imprint into our credulous brains, that blinding state of brainwashing. Do we read Bellum Gallicum, written by Caesar, south of the Alps, or do we read Asterix, written north of the Alps? This is Asterix Comic Vine edition. Who said Northerners were illiterate, could neither read nor write? Yet, as stones burn not very well. There are lots of rune stones, written runes. Who wrote what in imprinted history? Our forefathers not only knew how to read and write rune letters, as they also wrote their musical notes. There are several sets of futhark, older and newer, and several styles of runes. This is futhark fé úr þurs ás reið kaun, the first 6 runes by which it's named. By the way, I say this over and over again, sorry. Please stop that TH or Týr Hagall, Latinized transliteration pronunciation in English. Týr Hagall instead of Thorn Thurs. Some even speak about the first 7 runes of futhark, when we have fé úr Týr Hagall ás reið kaun in futhark. Write instead Thorn Thurs. This letter was recently discarded from English, so we simply revive it from the trash box. Latinization is not our favorite in this context. Write Thor as Thurs óðal reið, not Týr Hagall, that English pronunciation, Latin letter transliteration. Freyja has her Hildisvín, the shield, which is the uterus protecting the unborn baby, the fetus. We are crammed in here for 9 worryless months as an individual, busy making a body out of Gungnir. Ancient little gold Freyja, look at the endless circle, typically heathen, or is she here even a space-time foam bubble, a universe floating in Ginnungagap? Freyja and her Brísingamenn, Brís, skína to shine, manja, money, men, a jewel worn around the neck. Freyja is men glöð, this men jewel is her Brísingamenn, the shining jewel, which is mankind, we. She loves us, she takes care of us, but if we are as stupid as Loki in Edapon Þrymskviða, count for her anger to cause Brísingamenn to burst into pieces. Geri and Freki, their names from Sanskrit Gara and Vrika, meaning the gluttonous one and he who tears, a wolf. Geri and Freki recycle our disposable bodies when we no longer have use for them. In stories, the hero always jumps out of the big bad wolf's belly fully alive. We do not die, only Gungnir bodies change back to what they are made of. Meat goes to the dogs, kjöt gefur Óðinn greyjum sínum. Óðinn æfi vín eitt unir. Our soul eternally enjoys the mythical wine flow of life. Soul never dies, soul is never born, soul suffers not. And skal lifa og aldrei deyja, soul shall live and never perish. We ourselves take a coffee break in Helja. Helja hospitality is renowned, but remember, we have no bodily needs here. So all these complaints about her lack of food indicates lack of understanding of the current situation. Only bodies become hungry. Remember, soul is not hungry, suffers not, never dies, is never born. Due to our urðurverðandi skuld, we decide to have still another go in a disposable body we make. We see our beautiful mother nature with our eyes, but she, our mighty, máttur is might, mother nature is made of Gungnir. She is not tangible. Her creative power is female gender, prakriti, paraprakriti. This is what Gungnir, the famous weapon of good god Óðinn, looks like. And it is a most powerful one. We better handle Gungnir with care. We create in consciousness in the gap our illusionary Gungnir in the world. Our mother nature is a mythia, not for real, only seems to be. She is just a picture on our flat screen as we make her in our mind from Gungnir alone. Mythuia, wrongly thought to be. Mythia, not for real, only seems to be. Mother nature becomes a veil, registered by our senses, a cover which hides reality from us. Maya is not the smog, the veil of Gungnir. Maya is our ignorance, avidya, not to see reality, our true essence. Maya is the disability not to see who we are, not to see through the veil of nature. No less drastic, Mother Nature has three qualities, Thursam three, or in Sanskrit, three guna, sattva, rajas, tama, and they rule the whole world. The only way to get rid of them or take a break from them for a while is to transcend them, transcend nature and all our beloved stuff. That is as simple and easy as nýsa niður, according to Óðsmál. We only have to learn the effortless technique. Nistra guni above, transcend the rulers of the world, be without the three guna, Thursam three, who rule the world. Nýsa niður is the one and only action in Miðgarður which does not bind man. It is a liberating act, the most vital act for our spiritual evolution. Tararara, rulers of the world, Thursam three, the three qualities of Mother Nature, sattva, rajas, tama. We do not see them, so I must tell you, warn you, they are all fun, but ceaseless dancing is tiring. Take a purifying dive into air, nirvartatvam, nistra guni above, be without the three guna. God the sin is a sin sieve, we purify ourselves, her name indicates refusal, sinyun, and sin and sattva, truth, all in one goddess. She refuses all filth, sin, ignorance, and allows only purity to enter the golden leaf forest classes. Now we shall learn to see Óðsmál in three parts. Karma kanda, behavioral rules, code of not stupid behavior. Upasana kanda, to sit at the feet of the master to listen and learn. That is what Loddfafnir is doing, but mind you, he will benefit from the wisdom only if he really understands. Þér munu góð ef þú getur og þörf ef þú þiggur. We should learn to nýsa niður to really understand. Hollow, flowery words gets us nowhere. Avoid learned jargon. Do not buy fakes. Ekki allt gull sem glóir. Not is everything real gold, even if it glitters. Pass similis. Jnanakanda is the third part, the part of wisdom. Here is where most of us fail. We are brought up in literalism, believe in the letter, on the sphere of thought, but the third part of Óðsmál is purely theosophical, purely spirituality. That is why some talk about shamans here. Urður is what we do, verðandi, the processing, and according to physics, an action always has an equal reaction, so skuld is what we get back. Skuld means debt or duty, skuld, skylda. Even fjölskylda, our chosen family, is what we deserve, our karma. We choose parents and place and time. Engin má sköpun renna, we cannot escape our fate. It is inevitable, as long as we know not the technique to avert it, which is in Sanskrit, heyam dukaham anagatam, our danger not yet come. Gahana karmano gati. Bhagavad Gita says, ways of actions are unfathomable. We have control over action alone, never over its fruit. Too complicated are the courses of action in the world. This was stolen, as many other terms, from Bhagavad Gita part of Mahabharata, to become ways of something called God are unfathomable. To heathens, that doesn't make sense. Gods do not meddle with our karma. We are all responsible ourselves for our örlög. There are no whimsical norms of fate. That stuff is a mix-up with that whimsical God invention of theirs, that angry and fearful and good of their guy. Urður verðandi skuld do not get disturbed in their calculation during our stay in Helja, so a suicide is no solution. Urður verðandi skuld are a natural law, always flawless, but we have one big chance. The raft of knowledge by which we speed our enlightenment and override our sins and errors. It is better to understand names and terms. They tell such a lot. Jötnar, tröll, þursar should not be translated to giants. Who said they were big? Actually, we cannot see them at all with our naked eye. We just know they are there. Jötnar are eaters. Corrosion, decay, the recycling department. Truly, they perform a gigantic job and most needed one. Good and efficient as they are, to tidy up our surplus rubbish, we should be careful not to get them into our body, as then they are free radicals, not good, corrosive in living cells. Tröll are our ignorance, whom we do not see because of our blinding ignorance. We have to get rid of our ignorance in order to see. We have to purify ourselves, that we do, ourselves. Intermediaries are a drastic mistake. Avoid such meddling up with our most private affairs. Thurs is a former, now useless state of evolution. Thurs maidens, their daughters, take over. Here are Skaði Þjasadóttir, Gerður Gímisdóttir, and Gunnlaug Surtungsdóttir. I found 3 Thurs maidens for the scholars who misread from manuscripts, Thursa Meyjar maidens. More correct thought to be Thurs sons, Thursa Meyjar. Remember, Mögur as Irish Mac. Icelandic is a mixture of Norse and Gaelic, remember? Repeated, Thursa Meyjar 3, Max, son, 3 qualities of nature, 3 guna, sattva, rajas, tama. But Thursa Meyjar 3 Thurs maidens, who Óðsmál claims to be taking over from their fathers on our evolutionary path towards perfection. Skaði 6, sun god Baldur. Gerður in Skírnismál, fenced in the paradisos of materialism, meets Lord Freyr in Barri. Gunnlöð gives away the mjöður, meat of wisdom. She was supposed to hide away from us. Personifications are a trap. Illiteracy and literalism are a blinding trap. Dark Ages rob concepts of their profundity. As Homer favored the war gods and the war goddesses, he dropped all that filthy fertility symbolism. Not so heroic, he gathered, just plebeish food and farming only, even base acts of having progeny. And such manipulation of gods happens all the time. Greek Hermes used to be some rather intangible indication, a cairn, a landmark or something in that direction, but ended up as a marble statue, perhaps ended up as some Gabriels on church towers too. Hermes correlates to Odin in names of weekdays, names of gods, names of planets, and in the human brain. And one of Odin's names is Hermóður. That is when he rides to hell to resurrect our sun god Baldur at the winter solstice. All sun gods are resurrected, some by their fathers. Do marble statues still contain any waymarks and hidden signs? Is Hermes as indication and way leader primitive, and Hermes in copper and marble evolved? Hidden indications primitive? Is evolved, perhaps stagnation? Hermes Hermóður, is it funny to see Odin resurrect his son from Helja? Baldur hinn góði, the good, our son. Ambrosia of Eden. Talking about ancient Greek polytheon, remember we maintain a young biological age by visiting Ásgarður perpetually, transcend, imbibe the purity, rejuvenate our body cells, refer to hundreds of scientific research on TM. Thus, gods love those who are biologically young, however old they become. That is dying young in our sophisticated context. These perpetual manipulations of God concepts are probably the reason for that fanatic men kill each other. No two might necessarily get the Roman God right. Millions killed for him. Nowadays, Icelandic female theologians claim the patriarchy to be a cardinal sin and root of all evil. Their God is now a goddess, a good deviation from the original Orthodox. Heathens never need to agree on anything. We are self-important individuals, not fond of rule and the ruling religions. Pity if we believe everything we hear. We would be such stupid creatures as not to care about truth, only enjoy man-made creeds and religious traps. Even to the extent that some are wounded by religious imprinting, need healing, they say. Remember, Freya is our space-time form, and so is Greek Aphrodite. Pena and Pena, Prajana, Paraja, Aphros. Perhaps we have, for some time, distorted, just like Homer. We have changed concepts to war, just like Homer. Freya gathering dead men on a battlefield. Who said that? Odin being a warrior and favoring killed killers, killing men who are killed dead in battle. Who said that? Okay, whoever said it. Those who live 100% enlightenment live 100% in the universe as well. Valhalla is for living men. The universe Freya space-time form bubble for living men, equally, likewise. Freya can be seen as the creative power in action, Devi Shakti. We should remember, personifications are a trap. Even if we are of the same cosmic pattern as our gods in Ásgarður, it means not necessarily that gods are guys and dolls like we men, walking on earth in our perfect bodies. But why would we have our gods and goddesses, who we have not seen, in the shape of humans? There is a sound reason. The universe mirrors the perfect intelligence of Ginnungagap, displays the same pattern of intelligence. This perfect intelligence is displayed in everything we see, hear, or can think of. We make our human body of that same perfect intelligence. Everything is perfect in Ginnungagap, from the gods, and in Mother Nature. There is only perfection and intelligence, until we start fucking up. Theocracies have stolen things from the Bhagavad Gita, such as ways of actions are unfathomable, a bit meddled up with to suit them. Krishna also says, slain in battle, thou reachest heaven. Surviving the battle, thou enjoyest life and worldly possessions. This was said when Kali Yuga ended up in war to destroy evil-minded rulers. Theocracies use this borrowed, stolen sentence from the Bhagavad Gita to have followers kill in the name of their whatever god. Kill for us to reach heaven, be killed for us to reach heaven. Kill not for us and go to hell. How on earth did such a killing tool, religious warfare, sneak into our concept valhöll? Perhaps we didn't know about enlightenment of a living man during the Dark Ages. We are taught only about blind belief in life, and taught a lot about death as some boon or punishment for obedience or disobedience to the ruling system. Has that southern imported heaven or hell, thus, due to our ignorance, gotten mixed up with our valhöll and helja? Hell is cold and bright, and here we have no bodily needs. Soul never suffers, never dies, is never born, and skal lifa og aldrei týnast. Soul will live and never perish. Hell and Ragnarök do not mean death of our soul. Also the mention of Valkyries summoning dead men on the battlefield, who says so? This could be some later time misconception a la Homer and theocratic dedication to wars and conquests. We seem to have lost the core and essence, the true meaning, the profundity, and lapped up some gallant dedication to the horror of war instead. Just imagine that we are in Freya, and Freya is in us. This is how. She is our universe, so we live in her. And as we are Ginnungagap, and all universes are in Ginnungagap, so she is in us. We might need to hear this twice or thrice to comprehend. Freya also has a church in Paris, Notre Dame. Isn't that delightful? And Vor Frue Kirke, many churches in Denmark. Vor Frue is Our Lady. Even philosophy has lost its true meaning, which is to find the origin of all within man. Now it has become contentious art twisting of concepts. But I heard a good one. Does doubt exist? A lovely philosophy. Gnothiseauton is gained by transcending the world of thoughts to get to know oneself. This was understood by the real philosophers, not these of mere words about it and brain acrobatics. Only by transcending Mother Nature can we know ourselves, that which we are, that which alone is. Do we know that garmur etymologically means heat in geir garmur mjög fyrir gnipa helli? Sanskrit karma, varmi, heat. So garmur is not necessarily a barking dog. Leikur hár hiti við himinn sjálfan. Heat reaches the sky, literally high heat plays with sky itself. In bocca al lupo, in the mouth of the wolf, Italian wish for good luck. Garmur, heljar hound. Does our cold blue hell keep a dog named Garmur? Heat, varmi, garma. That's a nice name in this context. The root fie means domestic animals. Pashu, the tethered ones. What man owns, possessions. I think we better start thinking a lot more. Names of weekdays, planets, gods, correlate, and correlate also to our human brain. Here is the one-to-one correlation brain planets. Dr. Tony Nader, Adhiraja of Global Country. Chintanailar Peravai, the Tamil, claims the 7 planets, bringers of good and evil, to have become the 7 angels, bringers of good and evil. The days have their different qualities, as do our gods. I have also found the names of days in ancient Greek. The scholars did not find them, even if I had them search for it for me, but my polytheistic Greek friends know and always use them. Thyrsos Hellenes Ethnikoi, for the research, study and spread of the ancient Hellenic culture. Days are for Sun, Moon, Tyr, Odin, Thor, Freyja, Loki. Find them in thy language. Our Loki correlates to Saturnus and Cronus. Odin is a female deity originally, but is intelligence, correlating to the planet Mercury, the name of day, Wednesday, and the goddess Odin. Originally female planets in names of days, Moon or Nanna, Odin, Freyja. Female planets closer to Sun than Earth. Our female moon deity, Nanna, consort of Baldur sun god. La Luna, moon, feminine in Roman languages too. Note, English has lost genders of things and concepts except for a ship referred to as her, she, as ships are difficult to steer, need a lot of paint, and men on board completely depend on her. She sometimes throws them to and fro. Masculine planets Tyr, Thor, Loki, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, further away from sun than earth. Sun, genderless, only transparent purity. So when did female deity Odin become a male? And what about Njörður being originally Nerthus, the female deity? Patriarchy cannot fight female deities, so such idols were systematically wiped out or made masculine. Severe goddess deficiency later led to the making of Holy Maria from Semiramis as a pacifying dummy for the mob, a manipulated goddess substitute, subdued and obedient poor girl, mother to the baby Jesus. Disobedient and self-willed females were demonized. Literalism, the belief in the letter, is something we should rid ourselves of. Illiteracy on allegory and symbolic language is not to be tolerated anymore. We shall revive our forefathers' science of existence. A review on some of the theosophical terms in Edda, poems, and myths. Nísa niður, to transcend. Odin given to Odin, I given to myself, transcending time and space and thought. Hanga á vingameiði, to pend in the middle of nothingness, about to transcend. Also places that we see not with our eyes indicating transcendence are many, so here we have some of the realms. Ginnungagap, the great womb which is all, nothing else is, all there is it. Barri, Lokfaralundur, windless grove, of which we learn in Skírnismál, where Gerður meets her divine innermost, Lord Freyr. Gladheimur of consciousness, the widest expansion of human individual consciousness, reached in transcending. Iðavellir, consciousness in motion. Hnitbjörg of Gunnlöð, where we imbibe the meat of wisdom. Ægir, the abyss into which we plunge to imbibe the perfect orderliness of our goddess Rán. Ásgarður, sphere of the gods, sphere of laws of nature. Ragnar Sjöt, sphere of Rögn and Regin, the gods, presiding over natural law. Tívatún, tún dynamism of Tívar, the gods, the fundamental impulses of creative intelligence. Also terms belonging here to live varðall, to be enlightened, fully alive of course, to become an einherji, become an enlightened man. The bridge bifrost, spread out layer for layer by the act of purification, by transcending, leading in time to enlightenment of a living man. Gnothisi auton, know thyself, consciousness, is the Greek philosophical term for becoming pure enough to see that we are not the matter world in which we live, but see that we are consciousness. This was when philosophy was real philosophy, not that modern contentious art. Sjöfn, perhaps Sinjavati, goddess of love, from her name is Sjapni, a lover. Vár is evoked for oaths. Eir, ide, ila, means revered, glorified. Eir is earth, ease and peace as opposed to riot. Inner peace yields health. Ease is the contrary to dis-ease. We adore goddesses. Every girl is born as the great goddess incarnated. Do we know that Medusa, embodiment of the sovereign female wisdom, Medaha, or meat of wisdom, became a gorgon because of the patriarchy? Her snakes are yogic power. Roman theocracy and Roman patriarchy hate powerful women. Churchianity uses snakes in negative connotation, just as in the story of Lilith and Eve, when Lilith, the determined female, became the temptation snake in the Eden story, and some horror character in other stories. Snakes always, except in that invented churchianity, stand for wisdom. Here we have a snake of wisdom. This is no solar disk. Pity that we always believe everything we have been brainwashed with. Kerunos, the horns are Natvarja and Rajaram, the deciphered Indus script on the Harappan civilization. Becomes horns, and this is the Gundastrup vessel. The snake is Karkotaka, listening. There are so many later time inventions held for true by scholars. For example, when some museum experts explain their biased personal view on the Gundastrup vessel, stupidly colored by churchianity and some irrelevant death concepts, the only narrow-minded worldview they know. Brainwashing is a vital part of Roman strategy. How can anyone know that he is brainwashed? Óðsmál is the key to the abyss of spiritual Edda. Óðsmál books on Amazon, also on YouTube.com, Gauja Góði. Kristi Magnúsdóttir, an awarded author, also known as Gauja Góði. Truth always overlives dark ages. Heathenry, Our profound ancient cultural heritage contains pure theosophy, amazing physics of the olden guys, science of consciousness they knew, Óðsmál concepts, physics, theosophy, heathen, pagan, Ásatrúar, science of consciousness, purpose of life. Óðsmál research project is supported by the Ministry of Education in Iceland and has a double research grant from Heathenry, the Icelandic Association of Educational Writers.